Hello there, everybody, and welcome to this a very special occasion. And what occasion is that, you might ask? We got a Shallows Division cast, that's right. And not only do we have a Shallows Division cast, we have King's Court versus Kappa Corporation. That's right, the bottom two teams of the division. And you all know that that is where you get some of the best action. But luckily, I will not be enjoying this action by myself. I will be joined as well by Spooky Mars. And Spooky, how you doing today?
Jesus Christ, Judas! Yeah, we're at the,
Are you
they're
hyped?
they're struggling a
I'm
little bit
hyped.
in the division, but I wasn't expecting you to go straight for the jugular like this, man. Oh my god,
I'm
this is
excited.
brutal.
I'm just happy to be here, as I'm sure the players were in their other games. In fact, let's just find out how happy they are in this game as well as we head on over to picks and bans for this. But Spooky, I'm pretty sure you will be the right person to ask about this in this scenario. If you're
Okay,
bottom of the league, right, and you are
wow,
struggling, yeah, if you're
Jesus
just
Christ,
struggling,
man.
what do you do to sort of break that duck? How do you find your way to get back onto winning terms?
First of all, what did I do to you, man? What
I'm in one of
happened?
those moods today, dude.
You
Let's
literally
yeah.
came in this call like 10 minutes ago, and you've just chosen violence.
Damn right.
Secondly, I wouldn't know, as my teams usually win. I get carried
All
very
right.
hard. I pick my teammates very carefully, Genius, all right? Thirdly, you just gotta identify the problems, right? It's all about VOD reviews, it's about team reviews, team discussions, figuring out what's been working, what hasn't been working. If you're 0-4, it might be a little bit harder to figure out what has been working.
Yeah.
But if you're at least 1-3, you got something to work with there. But even in losing games, there's usually a bright spot for the team, right? Maybe you can identify what picks have been problematic, take those off the board, ban them away. Figure out what picks have been giving you guys some good lane pressure. Look for those, and just try to
Yeah.
figure out what you need to do to translate that into actual cohesion across the map. And that's a surprise one. Chiron maybe has been giving Kappa Corporation some problems.
Yeah, we've seen a bit of a resurgence lately of these ability-based hunters, but surprising to see it banned out first of all, especially the Chiron. It tends to be more the AMC. We've even seen a lot of it lately, but yeah, it seems to be the focus of the day so far. But Hachiman being taken off the board is something I'm quite a fan of as well. I think Hachiman in the hunter spot is just an imbalanced pick. Like if Hachiman
You can
is
call it
on one
broken.
team, you could call it broken, exactly.
Yeah,
If you
you
got
can
a
just say it.
Hachiman, yeah, there's just nothing that the enemy team can pick that can match up to that god, right? And I think King's Court banning that one away is a good thing to do. And I would just like to point out for everyone unaware, King's Court are the team currently sat 0-4 in this week number 5, and Kappa Corporation currently 1-3. Now I have been told that Kappa Corporation actually won last week, so they're the team, shall we say, on form, in the ascendancy right now. And they would be looking to combine that last week victory with another victory here today, because Spooky, like being 1-3, like kind of sucks, but being 2-3, that's kind of respectable.
That's a win streak.
Exactly. And I, as much as I would love to say, I hope they can get.
Huh?
All right, no, hold on. All right, Kappa Corporation, get out of here. Not interested. Fully biased cast. King's Court, I'm in favor. Who bans Anubis? My God, who is banning Anubis? Spooky, tell me, who is banning Anubis?
The Kappa Corporation. That's who's banning Anubis. I don't know.
And only that.
I can't. I can't really figure out what's been going on there. Maybe they're just doing a throwaway ban. Should I try to keep all their options available to themselves? This does still leave Toth on the board. They can snap pick that in response to the Kukulkan. On her, still an option as well. That's been another kind of highly prioritized hunter pick. Sobek is certainly an option. I don't hate that, but not that Toth is interesting. I can't say I disagree, since you know that you do get 3 picks. There's no way King's Court is picking Toth for themselves. So if you think this Sobek is more highly prioritized than the Toth, if you think Sobek is one of the picks you just have to go for, I like this strategy. You basically do guarantee yourselves the Toth 3rd pick here still. They're not going to take it away from you.
No.
And Sobek does allow for a lot of aggression in this dual lane alongside this on her. More importantly, it can really mess with this Kukulkan's positioning. Use up the Kuzumbo, which is surprising the Kappa Corporation doesn't go for that, given the namesake, but hey, can't win them all.
Yeah, it's almost a bit of a flex. You see that a lot, especially with like the SCC teams
Hmm.
and stuff. They tend to have like namesakes. But yeah, it does look like it will be a Kuzenbo solo with a Geb support, which is again kind of the flavor at the moment. We've seen a lot of Guardians in the solo lane. We actually tends to see a lot of Cthulhu, so I'm surprised that one has not been picked up yet. But looking at Kappa Corporation, they do have the option of that Toth. Oh, interesting. They're going to lock the Achilles. Now, I was actually going to say that they have a very a Wheelix friendly composition at the moment, even though there aren't any leaps on the King's Court. But they've instead gone for this Achilles early on. Spooky, what do you think of this pickup?
So it's a good answer to the Kuzenbo. And Kuzenbo doesn't have a lot of trade options against this Achilles. Achilles should just be winning most of those fights in the solo lane, to the point where Kuzenbo's probably not even really looking to make too many fights. Probably just throwing a Kappa at the wave, calling that good, letting it push up, and not trying to interact too much. The downside of this is it means the King's Court can now just ban away the Toth and not allow the Kappa Corporation to have any access to that. I don't really like the fact that King's Court chose Kuzenbo and Geb in their top three. Normally, if you pick the Kuzenbo, you can pick something else like a jungler or an ADC and kind of give that flexibility there. If you see something locked in like an Achilles that the Kuzenbo doesn't play well into, fine, shift it over to the support role. It's still going to get value. It's still going to be good. Now they've locked themselves into where these two picks are going to be going. That gives Kappa Corporation quite a bit of leeway in the picks and bans.
Yeah, like you said, they've now got a much clearer direction, right? Like you see that Thanatos ban straight away, and I'd be surprised if the second man is not also a jungler. We're seeing obviously a lot of Hunbats and Thanatos lately. A lot of it has come down to the new Mystic Bauble as well being changed up and being a bit more readily available. We're seeing tons of gods who use that item particularly well in conjunction with a Bumba's Hammer. Have a lot of strength at the moment, but Mercury Mom and Brigitte also taken away, and wow, Kappa Corp go for the Aokwang. So double execute in the composition. How frightening is that to go against if you're the King's Court?
Well, if you're in a mobile mage like Kukulkan, pretty scary, all things
Yeah.
considered. This is an interesting Awelish pickup. It does
Yeah.
counter the on her, and it plays well into Kuzenbo and Geb. But you're really relying on them finding the setup for you at this point. Sobek being taken away means there's not that easy support pick to really enable this Awelish. It might struggle a little bit, but we've seen plenty of successful Awelish play so far. I'm not too worried about it. The X-Ball rounds this draft out very nicely. This is a very team fight oriented composition. You can say that pretty much any time X-Ball gets locked in, but you got some great big circles going on for you. Kuzenbo can get in there very easily, push someone out of position. This is looking very good for the King's Court so far. Merlin pickup for Kappa Corp. Huh.
Yeah, it's again another one of those picks that we've been seeing sort of sprinkled in lately. No Toth whatsoever, by the way.
That's surprising
And
to me.
it is quite surprising, has that secure potential in the abilities, has something that can allow you to team fight quite well, but will not be seen in this game. But let's see what will be seen in this game as we head on over to game number 1 between the King's Court and Kappa Corporation. And no surprises from everyone. Oh wait, hold on.
Wait, what?
I love saying no surprises before actually seeing what's on my screen, but that looks like an Aokwang solo with an Achilles in the jungle. Spooky, I'm
Let's
just
have
gonna let you have
Death
this
Toll.
one. Auto
You're gonna
attack.
give this to me? So it's now Kwong in solo, which isn't
Yeah.
unheard of. But the Death's Toll is what's really throwing me for a loop here. I mean, you have drafted such a good matchup for the Kuzenbo with this Achilles, and then we've simply chosen not to use it. I'm going to be completely level with you here, Judas. I was favoring the King's Court draft before I saw this. Now I really just don't like what Kappa Corp is throwing into the blender right now. I'm not going to say it can't work out. I'm not going to say it's without value entirely. But I do think Aokwang is going to struggle against Templar Tyrant a little bit more than Lion Unicorn would have on this Achilles.
Yeah.
He's going to get a lot more value out of the Spiked Shell than he would against the Achilles. I just don't know how well this is going to scale. Why is it Death's Toll?
The Death Stall I'm really not sure about. I suppose you could say there are not many great options for Aokong, especially when they're in
Conduit
lane.
gem?
I mean, Conduit Gem, possibly like the best starter in the game right now, but let's ignore that one for a second, and let's say there's some pact that Brown Brazilian has made with someone.
Yeah,
that
let's
will
just
not
ignore
pick.
the best starter, and
Yeah,
then
let's
suddenly
ignore the
there
best
aren't any
starter
good
in the game. And then you look at everything else, like I suppose there's Mannequin Scepter as well, but that, again, it's not great.
Archer's over there, man.
Yeah, I can't quite figure it out yet. However, I am willing to wait. There is
6
2 waves worth of
archers!
archers. Oh my goodness, that is a ton of. How often do you see Kuzumbo with the superior clear in lane? That's what I want to know. I want to know if that's ever happened before. But right now, that's what we find ourselves in, and doesn't seem to be too much in the way of action across the map just yet. Everyone seems relatively content to just let this one drag along a little bit.
This mid 2v2 isn't quite going the way of King's Court. Lion Unicorn, hey, we'll put a little bit of pressure out onto Speedy, keep them from stepping up too much, but there's no real kill potential here just yet. We're still very early on. Telshore on this Merlin is going to need to scale up before he's able to do a lot of damage. Now, if he gets an item online, he can start looking at things, but really looking more around that 3-item power spike for this Merlin.
Yeah.
And really, Wrecking Logic doesn't have to interact with this lane at all. He's a Kukulkan. He can place tornadoes down, walk away, stand under the tower, and just kind of watch the minions die. Now, early levels before he gets the item online, archers or melees will survive at low health. That's not going to be too much concern. One Zephyr, and that's done so.
Big scrap in the dual lane, and Leorchild finds himself in a very tough spot, gets the rollout, plucked out of the rollout. Now can there be a return kill? Yes! Sarcastronaut does manage to take down Minicups, and wants a little bit more as well, and the branching bowlers are enough to get it done. You trade First Blood in response for a duo double kill in the duo lane, I should say. Fantastic start for the King's Court.
A duo kill in the double lane, you could also say.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, right?
Now that's beautiful for the King's Court. Excellent capitalization from Sarcastronaut, recognizing that, Minicups and Super Spider Pig had already expended quite a bit of their kit to get that kill onto Leorchid. Leorchid? That's what we're going with.
Yeah, Leorchid. Let's go with that.
So excellent work on the early game branching bolas from this X-Ball. Those things hurt so much early on, especially with the passive from X-Ball as well. All that damage you're doing is just giving you more damage. This could be a dangerous look over here in the solo lane as well.
Oh my goodness, that is the Indra's Scepter combined with a little bit of a watery grave, and it's a very watery grave for the Ao Kuang. So another kill for the King's Court, that one being a solo kill in solo lane, no duo kill in duo lane at least. Yeah, that's pretty cool, actually. I think we'll have to try to stick with that for a little bit. But Kappa Corp looking for a dual kill of their own as Leorchard just completely locked in place. Nowhere to go, impaled into the wall, but hits 5, gets the Cataclysm, isn't enough. Sarcastro wants to have a repeat, will not be done, and leaping forward is Super Spider Pig.
Speedy.
However, here comes Speedy, doesn't get the knock-up, jumps in, Mini Cups instead. Purification beats as well, but late from the Awelix, pops the ultimate just for that little bit of extra damage, but Super Spider Pig and Mini Cups brawl it out. They do get their own duo kill. However, here is Wrecking Logic, followed by Lion Unicorn. There's the Spirit of the Nine Winds, gets 1 in favor of the King's Court, but Kappa Corp more than happy. However, Wrecking Logic needs 1 more basic, does get the tornado instead. Surely does not live. Never mind! The Orchard back on the scene. Lion Unicorn cannot close the distance. What absolute chaos in the duo lane.
That is a long fight. Hey, look, another solo kill in the solo lane as well. Templar Tyrant establishing dominance. But let's pull back a little bit, right? Let's go back to this duo lane here. And just kind of go over what happened.
Yes.
A lot of trading, right? We saw multiple sets of Bs come out that maybe a bit mistimed. That's okay. We'll clean that up as the game goes on. This is just warming up the fingers there. Leorchad tried to go for the Cataclysm to try to get Super Spider Pig off of him. Unfortunately, countered out by good use of the Desert Fury. But Sarcastronaut was able to pick up a couple assists, went a little bit too deep in my opinion, and I think this shows maybe a little bit of where the King's Court's weaknesses have been. they seem a little bit too eager to overextend into these fights. And I see some low health bars and think, dang, man, I was so close to getting that kill. Maybe if I step just a couple steps forward, I can finish it off. No, he stepped back. Well, maybe just a couple more steps forward. As this feed into just way too deep into enemy territory, it ends up sort of panning out in their favor just to the number of rotations that came through, but they really got to be careful about this kind of thing.
Oh, so you have to be careful right here. There's the Rising Jaguar, the Desert Fury, Earth and Shield right in time will keep the ADC alive. Sarcastic has to thank the Orchid there for the save. And actually, there's a lot of damage coming out. Cataclysm comes through. Speedy is there to clean it up, and that is a handy pick for the King's Court to pick up. I would just like to point out, Spooky, at the end of that last brawl, we were at 10 kills in 5 minutes. So we are averaging 2 kills a minute at the moment, and with the pace that's carried on, we're actually not too far away from that. But yeah, another important pick, I think, there for the King's Court, because it wasn't looking great there for Sarcastic. Hold on, it's not looking so great for Wrecking Logic either. These meteors do, they're a big bait, but Speedy around the backside, fantastic beats there from Telshaw. Now Line Unicorn goes in, wants to take down this slithery dragon. They do start to slide away, and that will be that for this aggression for the moment. But wow, everyone wants to fight.
Man, I was on the verge of saying so much cleaner on that one from the King's Court. Could still be, but the Kappa Corp are wanting to push this as far as they can. Execute comes out.
Wow, fantastic execute there from Lion Unicorn. Knew exactly the damage threshold they were aiming for and does get it. Speedy opting to go in a little bit late. Not certainly. Oh, there's a beads in the midair. Yet again, that's 2 in a row from Speedy. But does manage to get out alive. The Orchid are doing a great job on this Geb to keep these... I don't know what to describe these players as, but I can imagine there's a lot of stress. Yeah, Kappas. I mean, it's the King's Court, but they maybe you know what? The jesters, the court jesters. There we go. Keeping the court jesters alive.
I thought you were gonna say that he was doing work to keep the Kappas off his team, but I guess that does work. The jesters? I don't know, Jesus. You are really going after him today, man. What is happening?
Woke up on the wrong side of the today.
I want an answer, man. What's going on?
I've got to be honest. I think it's just because I'm casting the music with you. I don't know. I don't really have another answer.
Okay. Yeah, I no longer want an answer. I'm done with this guy.
I think that's where I am. But where we are right now is King's Court lead the kills 7-5 over Kappa Corporation. And I'm just going to say, it's been a hectic start, right? Kills flying left, right, and center. No one actually getting too much of a lead. It's a 1.8k in favor of King's Court, which is handy. Right now, that's what you would be looking for, but it's not an insurmountable lead. But is this what you would have expected these compositions to end up with? Would you have said the King's Court should get off to a better start?
Yes, especially if this is how the games are going to be going. Right now, Kappa Corp is kind of feeding into the King's Court draft, where King's Court really want these team fights, right? You've got big circles, huge burst damage, you've got great ways to start the fights and to peel for your team. Kappa Corp is kind of just looking to brawl around a little bit. They've got some big circles from the Merlin, and they've got engagement from mini cups on the Sobek, but that's really all I'm seeing there. I'm struggling to find the cohesive identity of Kappa Corp. Whereas the King's Court, they can look at these objectives. They've got secure. Kappa Corp can't really do a whole lot to contest that. They have to just step up and look to try to find the fight off of them. But when that happens, King's Court can just turn off the lights and say, all right, let's go ahead and take this fight. Let's do this thing. And meanwhile, Speedy's just over here between towers getting a kill.
Yeah, I'm getting a kill. I'm getting out scot-free as well. I'm not sure Mini Cups will be able to do anything. Now, Lion Unicorn wants to give chase, drops the flick. Oh, great stun just to try to close the distance. Needs one more cooldown. Hello, Brown Brazilians all the way over here. And will pick up a pick of their own. Now, Sarcastic might be in a little bit of danger. Of course, not tons of damage left in the kits, but they still execute on the table. All Brown Brazilian and Templar Tyrant also making more cases. Big Cataclysm coming out, stun onto 2. Lion Unicorn struggling to get back into the fight. Oh, there's a Spirit of the Line wins off the mark. but the Ao Kuang has already been taken out by the former Ao Kuang of Kukulkan. Hello, here's Telshaw coming in, wants to see what's going on, but might have been regretting that choice. Does use the purification beads. There's a Zephyr to the face, and the Merlin goes down. A double kill on the rotation from Wrecking Logic. So not only is it the 2 kills here, but there is also the pick on the Super Spider Pig earlier. Another great fight for the King's Court.
Man, King's Court has just really capitalized on their draft right now. Excellent collapse onto Telshore as he came over. He just doesn't even care. This could be a little dicey for King's Court, though. They allow the Go Fear to be looked at. Fortunately for them, Kappa Corp not going to look at that. Instead, going to look at Liorchid, who may just die here from the execute.
Does die, but Minicups gets caught in a tornado and Wrecking Logic on a killing spree. Great start for this Kukulkan. 5-1. Already going for a Staff of Murthen, it looks like, as well. So will be hitting extremely hard in these team fights if they continue to happen.
I think he's already hitting quite hard. We saw a Whiffed Ultimate in the last fight, and it just didn't even matter because the tornadoes are still coming out. The Zephyrs are still finding their targets. And it's just doing so much damage overall. Spirit of the Nine wins at this point. You can pretty much just say that for secure on the objectives or to try to disengage a fight. Wrecking Logic is so far ahead right now. He's 3 levels up. Call it 2.5 if you want. He is looking fantastic right now in this mid lane. Meanwhile, Templar Tyrant's just exerting dominance in the solo lane. We saw Brown Brazilian try to make an impact by rotating across. Found a kill, but by the time this Kuzubo shows up, he just pushes everyone away. This Ao Kuang just doesn't have the same kind of presence that one of these beefier frontliners has.
Yeah, that's the thing when you pick an assassin in the solo lane, you are missing that sort of lockdown and control. But speaking of control, Lion Unicorn manages to control their way out of range of that Spirit of the Nine Winds. But this beacon is going heavily now in favor of the King's Court. Brown Brazilian has made rotation over. Leorchid gets pulled in, but there's too much damage on the mini cup. There's an execute, beads out by Speedy there. There's a Fury to try to finish them off, but no, the Awilix shall stay alive. Oh, fantastic rollout into the gravity surge combination. Dreamt that up and it worked out like a dream. Now Templar Tyrant throwing their weight around onto this beacon themselves. Pulls Super Spider Pig out of the tornado, but still stands strong on this beacon, actually brawling away with the ant of this Kuzubo, causing so much havoc. But now here's Telfor's time to walk on in, try to finish off some of these low health bars. There's the Aegis from Wrecking Logic, but there's the Blink into danger, and that's a pluck now onto Templar Tyrant. But again, this Kuzubo will not be stopped. The Kappa's undone by the Kappa King himself.
Judas, listen, man. The Stygian Beacon is nice, right? It's a good objective. It's nice to have.
That was fun.
It's
though.
not really worth dying for like this, especially when you're already behind. The amount of fighting over this beacon from Kappa Corp is just not beneficial to them. They lose a couple members, they go a little bit too deep, and they look disjointed on these fights. Like, why is Telshore moving forward into like 3 people by himself? That's not... Sure, you could try to kill the Kukulkan, but he's got the Aegis up. He goes ahead and burns it and just eats all the damage. And you get absolutely nothing from that entire fight. As long as it was, the Kappa Corp did not find a single kill there, end up losing the beacon, and it's just extending the King's Court lead a little bit further. This is what I mean. The King's Court wants these team fights, and they have drafted much better for them than Kappa Corp has. It just doesn't feel like the Kappas have an answer to what the King's Court wants to do. And the worst part of that is that they're still responding to what the King's Court wants to do. Rather than trying to make their own proactive plays, they're meeting each other at this beacon, trying to contest over it, trying to counter gank when the King's Court makes plays. They have to just look at a different part of the map and try to find some kind of value, and Telshore is going to be finding the grayscale as Wrecking Logic picks up a 6.
That was absolutely eaten up
easy pyro
by the Zephyr there, yeah, and just the cue for that Pyromancer, because there's a Spirit of the Nine Winds in the pocket. I'm not sure that there's going to be much that the Kappa Corp can actually do about this. Now, just coming out, doesn't even use the Spirit of the Nine Winds, and Minicup's forced to commit. Now, Leorchid has actually gone in onto Lion Unicorn, who's actively retreating as Here comes the reinforcements for this Geb, but Minicups as well, not able to do anything about it. And it looks like with the Kappa Corp's composition, if Telsha's not alive and able to output consistent damage, I just don't see how the Kappa Corp are going to manage to even get these executes off.
I'm looking over everything, and I'm just trying to figure out what exactly the plan is for the Kappa Corp here. Like, Flying Unicorn has gone for this damage build. He's gone for Soul Eater and Hydra's Lament, of all things.
Yeah.
Apparently, maybe looking at a Serrated Edge next. Oh my god,
Well,
Wrecking Logic just wrecks that health bar.
Wrecking
We're
Logic
gonna see a
also wants to
siege?
find out the build. Gonna send them back to base to see what they build next, I guess. And it's, oh my god,
Cyclopean
it's a
ring?
katana. It's this is a katana coming out. Oh, there's a Cyclopean ring in full effect. Taking a ton of damage in response, though, is Brown Brazilian. Templar Tyrant does not get the kill because of those purification beads. Tower down on the left lane. First tower of the game, and Super Spider Pig forced to retreat. Everything is going wrong for the Kappa Corp.
Yeah, everything. Starting with the builds, I would say. Starting with the draft. Why is Brown Brazilian taking Ao Kwang into the solo lane? I don't like it. Gold Fury being started up. Let's look at that instead.
Yeah, let's stare at the Gold Fury as the King's Court do take it. There was an attempted steal by Super Spider Pig there with that Desert Fury, but it just doesn't work into a Kukulkan. And Templar Tyrant, again, throwing their weight around. Oh, that Zephyr might have killed, but this Tornado might kill as well. Telstar will go down to the tick damage from Wrecking Logic. And right now, it's just Kukulkan diff over Merlin, man. Like, this is why this god is one of those strongest picks in the game.
They had the opportunity to pick something that could match this Kukulkan, and they left it on the cutting room floor. This Toth was not looked at, was not picked, was not banned, and instead they went for the Merlin, which has some values. It can match some of what this Kukulkan does, in that it puts a big circle down and says, hey, don't step here. But there's a big difference between Merlin circles and Kukulkan circles. Kukulkan puts one down and says, hey, if you walk through this, you are taking damage for the remainder of your foreseeable life. Merlin puts his down and says, okay, you know what? If you just want to walk through, yeah, you're good, man. It'll stop once you leave. The lingering damage that Kukulkan has from these tornadoes is what really sets him apart from this Merlin. Yes, they're both good at shredding and they're both good at zoning, but one is much easier to move past than the other. And the Kappa Corp don't really have a whole lot of tools to kind of force the King's Court into the Merlin circles. They have Sobek, but that's about it right now.
Yeah.
It's just, they're struggling so hard to find the value. They don't have the secure to step up to these objectives, and they don't have the range to deal with what the King's Court is doing. That's why you look at the Toth to match this Kukulkan, is he can stand so far back, stand over walls, and output such huge amount of damage while also matching it to secure. And the Kappa Corp just don't have the tools they need right now.
Yeah, I think I'm with you on that choice. Typhon, yeah, you know, Typhon's Fang as well. I'm interested to see how this build rounds out if we do get that far into the game, because it's Ao Kwang solo. If it's going to pay off, it will surely only be able to pay off in the late game at this point. But I'm with you on that pick difference, right, between the Merlin and the Toth. I think a Toth here does a similar job to Merlin in that you can poke down these enemy gods to then set up for an execute later, right? I believe that's part of the game plan for Kappa Corp, but also maybe could contest this Pyromancer a little bit. It was an attempt there again from Telshaw, but another objective going the way of the King's Court. And look at the Orchid, could just roll up. No, not a care in the world. More than happy to get aggressive. And why not? There is nothing on the Kappa Corp side that is actually going to frighten them at this point.
Yeah, can we just like hover over Cyclopean? Like, am I forgetting something about this item in a way that it like synergizes more with Typhus than I'm thinking? No, I'm not.
No synergy
but hey, let's
there.
fight.
Oh my goodness, no synergy for Super Spider Pig anymore, because they're off the map, and Minicups has found themselves committed far forward. Telshaw has an opportunity to do some damage. There's the Spirit of the Nine Winds to finish off that Crocodile, and Telshaw lifted to the sky, and then Fireman carried out of the game, and now The goal for the King's Court will surely be this fire giant. They're just making eyes at Brown Brazilian, even stealing a red buff on the way. King's Court in full swing.
All right, well, now we're at the fire giant. Now get the Cyclopean ring out of my sight. I don't want to look at that anymore. No Spirit of the Nine Winds available for Wrecking Logic, but in a 5v2, I don't think that matters. This one is very cleanly in the hands of the King's Court, and they have set themselves far and away ahead of Kappa Corp at this point. 8,000 gold in the lead, 12,000 XP up as well. This is going to be a tough one for the Kappa Corp to claw back from. Now, the good news is, I don't know if this is good news. It's only 21 minutes into the game. The good news is that it's not an enhanced fire giant, right? So, Kappa Corp probably going to be losing their tier 2s. Maybe a Phoenix if they play things sloppy. But they're not likely to look at the end of the game just yet. They've still got some time to work with. If they can find a way to maybe pressure one of these side lanes while the King's Court is pushing up on the opposite side of the map, they do have some room to get some gold in their pockets. They just have to actually find the chance to use that. Oni Fury is a little bit risky here, Kappa. I don't know if I would be here.
Oh, they're sick of seeing the King's Court taking up all these objectives. The King has too many taxes, and they want to take some of that back, but the people shall have to retreat for this moment because there is too much presence for the King's Court. They have a ton of damage here. Like with the X-Ball here, we haven't actually seen a whole lot of this X-Ball for the past 10 minutes, but it hasn't mattered. The dual lane has been relatively quiet. It's all been action in the mid lane, and Wrecking Logic clearly coming out on top, 10-1 right now on a Kukulkan. You'd think that somehow the Kappa Corp between the Achilles and the Ao Kwang would be able to get on top of this god, but so far it's just not happening.
They just don't have an effective way to dive in against Kukulkan and Ageb. They have so much peel, so much space creation that the Kappa Corp are not able to get past this front line. And they don't have anyone to really tank up the damage. Like, look at Brown Brazilian's build. What's he going to do? Is he going to absorb a couple of ticks from the tornadoes? Well, there's a few more that come after that. Now there's positioned around this tier 2. They shouldn't defend this one. This should just be a soft defense. They should pull back, but again.
Wow, what a watery grave. That's one of the best I've ever seen, and it's created so much space and might even spell the demise of mini cups, and yes, it shall. Now, there's a dragon over the wall, will not connect with anyone, but the mid Phoenix is already down. King's Court looking to get this one done quickly. Almost made eyes for the Titan there, but thought a little better of it. They have some Oni minions now coming up to this right-hand tier 2 tower as well. It all looks good. Wrecking Logic frontlining for themselves, because why not at this point? The game's gone so well, just so much confidence flowing through Wrecking Logic. Now look, immediately a Phoenix push with these Oni minions. Looks like it has been deflected by the King's Court, just throwing their weight around the map.
Kappa Tyrant is back in here. Not going to look for that Phoenix. Instead, there's a tier 2 still standing in the left side. I'll go ahead and clean that one up. Some more gold in their pockets and really break the defenses of the Kappa Corp. And just look at the positioning from the King's Court. Because they still have 2 frontliners, they can step forward and just create so much space.
Yep.
Kappa Corp has no frontline, like whatsoever. Brown Brazilian is full damage. Lion Unicorn is full damage. You've got mini cups on the Sobek, but he can only do so much, and he's really just looking to try to peel or engage. And then what? Then he's by himself.
Yeah, like stuck right now, midway through Prophetic, midway through Gauntlet of Thieves, and nowhere close to actually getting those fully stacked up. It looks like instead, King's Court looks to push in to this left side Phoenix. Templar Tyrant now taking the aggro of this Phoenix, but it's a full 5-on-5. Oh, midi cups being shredded. Wow. There goes the front line of the Kappa Corp, and that is all they have now. The rest of the team for the King's Court shall make their way into this Phoenix pit. Lion Unicorn in danger, goes for the fatal strike, but way off the mark, and now finds themselves shut down. Meanwhile, Speedy picks up a kill of their own on a Super Spider, picking a huge gravity surge onto Brown Brazilian, takes them way up high and shuts them down into the ground. Speedy gets out alive as well. Now the Titan under duress. Where is the Spirit of the Nine Winds to try to finish it off? But Speedy is low, and here comes the damage from the Merlin. Just a couple of minion waves in to the King's Court, having been left in the tank. It doesn't look like it. Mini Cups trying to clean one up. Sarcastronaut will fight them away. almost demise there for Kappa Corp, but the King's Court will reset and look at this next fire giant.
Really did a number on me.
Man, we saw at the start of that, maybe a Phoenix if the Kappa Corp play things sloppy. Well, I wouldn't exactly call it clean for the Kappa Corp. They end up losing 2 Phoenixes and half their Titan's health bar as a result of that. Fire Giant falls off in time. Kappa Corp stage defense, but man, this looks tough. With 2 birds down and a Fire Giant spawning in, Kappa Corp now have pretty much an ogre's choice here. Do we step out of our base and try to defend around this Fire Giant and risk the King's Court simply delaying things long enough that we start losing Titan to fire minions? Or do we hold our ground in base, clear off these minions, try to get our Phoenix back up, and concede the Fire Giant for free? I don't think they're in much of a position to be stepping up to the Fire Giant. And Telkine's Ring is what we finished off with. Telkine's Ring is what we finished off with here.
It's damage. Like auto
Yeah,
attacks.
it's
Like,
damage.
It synergizes with the Death's Toll.
I mean, sure. The problem is it's not synergizing with anything that needs to be done in this game. I mean, has this Ao Kuang gotten on top of any target? He has a kill, but I would remind you that that happened in left lane onto Speedy after he was already low, and he water illusioned forward and threw the Dragon Call out at range while Speedy was in. Jesus Christ. Yeah, I think that just tells the story of the game right there.
Oh, Templar Tyrant is stuck. Can't get through the doors.
Is he?
Hold on. There's a dragon coming through. Lion Unicorn does get the execute. Now, the Kuzumbo off the table. No Fire Giant for them anymore. So that is now a 4-on-5 situation in favor of the Kappa Corp. Finally, a window for them to make something happen. Oh, opens the door, does mini cups, but
They just
does
killed
not
the
get
Phoenix.
charge prey as well. Mid lane Phoenix still alive. Speedy forced to use the purification beads. The Orchid now trying to provide a little bit of peel. Here maybe isolated. Sarcasno dashing there from way downtown. Brent Brazilian gets caught, and there's a whirlwind to finish them off. Divine is wrecking logic, and now the scales are even once again, which means the King's Court going to advance yet again into this Phoenix.
Oh yeah, the scales are certainly even, Judas. It's just that, one side is much lower than the other at this point.
Precisely.
I don't understand how Templar Tyrant dies there. I mean, just have someone step in and kill the Phoenix so we can open the door. Eileen,
Scary.
our mid-bird does go down. Shit, what is this? What are we finishing this Ao Kuang build off with? Like, I actually don't want this game to end because I want to know where this tower shield is going. What's happening?
Yo, that's got to be a phalanx, right? That's,
It better not be.
It would help
Phalanx
with the
last
Phoenix,
item,
right?
I'd be mad.
I really hope it is. But meanwhile, the King's Court hope they can take down this right side Phoenix and get to the end of this game. It's the last stand now for Kappa Corp. They have all 5 members alive. Dragging off the mark there. A lot of damage. Oh, that's a huge whirlwind actually spreads on to both members of the quote-unquote front line for the King's Court. But that front line now has to quickly retreat as Lion Unicorn steps in. There's some extra range there, but Lion Unicorn not tanky enough to get onto these targets. Now all 3 Phoenixes down in favor of the King's Court, but they will decide to take a rest at court before they make their final push.
Can we get Brazilian's gold in hand real quick? Can we just see that? Let's see, where is he? Okay, he's a way off of finishing this item. Man, I really want to know what it's gonna be here. This is crazy. 3 Phoenixes down.
Yep.
Titan is half health. Not gonna be regenning because your birds are dead. King's Court have a little bit of time to play with. We've seen them do a couple pushes that didn't quite pan out, but this is also just with base Fire Giant. They haven't taken the enhanced version just yet. The Primal Fury on board. Oh man, I would really like to see them go for Primal at this point. I understand the desire to end this game. The defense is still pretty strong from Kappa Corp. They've got big circles. They've got Merlin and Super Spider Pig here. I think it'd be better if they just play a bit more patiently, because this Fire Giant's not going to last much longer. This is a dangerous position from them. They're gonna look for it. Berserker
Oh, it is a Berserker Shield from Brown Brazilian. This build has been complete. Copy it, paste it into Smitefire right now. Then we can make sure we can play it into our own games later on. But oh, there's a knock up on the mini cups. Probably the worst target, but still gets taken down. There is all of the King's Court staring in to the Titan Rune. That will be that. Super Spider Pig picks up a kill, but it means not. King's Court take this first game.
Berserker Shield is what we
Yep.
end that one off with. Listen,
I feel like you
love
really picked up
Berserker
on the
Shield,
outcome.
right? That's a great item. I love that item. It's a lot stronger in the early game. Like it's really good. Like first 2 or 3 slot item, 6 slot. No, I mean, I'm, I'll reel it in here, Judas. Well, we'll focus upon the game itself, the game as a whole. It does feel like the Kappa Corporation struggled a lot from a draft standpoint. They didn't have the tools they needed, didn't have the builds they needed. And they didn't have the ability to match this Kukulkan in the team fights or around the objectives. The
Oh, there it is
secure
again.
from Wrecking Logic was just way too much. And the fact that they also had a very good team fight composition around this Kukulkan, it didn't leave the Cap Corporation a whole lot of options. I mean, just look at the stat lines for this backline: 5-1 from the X Ball, 11-1 from Kukulkan, who only just recently overtook Sarkashaw in the damage charts. Make no mistake, he might have 5 kills. Those 11 assists, he was part of everything outputting the damage. In fact, this slash that's actually just reversed.
Yeah, oh,
That's
wow, they are.
beautiful.
That's very cool. That is like some artistic value there. Mwah, fantastic backline play from the King's Court there, and it almost is a complete juxtaposition to the frontline play of the Kappa Corporation, right? Because I like to me, depending on the pick,
What
sometimes you
front
would put the
line?
jungler. Yeah, like sometimes the jungler can be considered like a pseudo frontliner, right? Especially if they build in like a more tanky style, and you would expect an Achilles to be that way. But it was just the Sobek, and I do feel like while the Sobek can do what they will want to do, try to do, and do whatever plucks they can. It's just not possible as a solo frontline. So definitely going to need to see some changes on that front for the Kappa Corporation going into game 2. But speaking of game 2, that will be coming up next. But first, we'll be taking a break. Do not go anywhere. We are back with game number 2 between Kappa Corporation and the King's Court. The King's Court, despite being 0-4 in this first 5 weeks of competitive matches, they do find themselves 1-0 up against the Kappa Corporation. And Spooky, we need to see something a little bit different, or should I say a lot a bit different, from the Kappa Corporation this time around.
I mean, we were talking about it between games, right? If the change was something as small as switching Ao Kwang and Achilles where they played the map, things probably would have looked better for the Kappa Corporation. So I don't know if it has to be a massive overhaul for the Kappa Corporation, or maybe just a little bit more respect and discipline towards the game itself. Maybe save some of these spicier picks for when you're up a game rather than starting at neutral. I don't know. There's still things that can change and happen for the Kappa Corporation. There are things that looked good for them. They did respond to fights well, and a lot of the fights did go pretty long, even when they were at a 2, 3, 4,000 gold deficit, which means they are playing something correctly. They just got to clean it up a little bit and maybe not fall into that deficit so early.
Let's see if they can prevent that deficit as we head on into game number 2's picks and bans. And like you said, Spooky, we don't need a gigantic overhaul. We just need to see, honestly, just gods in the right spots. You know, I felt like the Achilles in the jungle was able to accomplish basically nothing, and that's not necessarily a fault of the player. It is more a fault of the pick. Now, ultimately, that is the fault of the player who chose that pick, which generally you would say that the players get to pick their own
right
pick.
Back to square one, Ben.
I would like to see an adjustment here of the jungle pick, but a complete change up in the bans coming through here. Now it's Marticarus being banned out, Toth being banned away. I wonder why there's such a huge switch up here.
Surely we banned the Kukulkan.
The Anubis? Oh, there it is.
That's not who I was expecting to ban the Kukulkan, if I'm being completely honest. I would have expected the Kappa Corp to take that one off the board, and so the King's Court could just not first pick it, but...
Wow.
What?
That
That's a first pick and a half.
Yeah. I mean, like, you know, Odin, new buff, you know, has only now 2 ticks of that third ability before being able to throw off the stun. Also has the increased damage on the bird bomb combination. You know, it's now as if you've got a full shield all the time with that additional damage. So definitely more of a consistent god at present, but very, very strange to pick Odin so early. You know, you generally want to at least force some picks which don't have leaps, but now you're kind of forcing the Kappa Corporation to prepare with this Odin in mind. But is there anything you'd like to see the Kappa Corporation specifically do into this Odin first pick?
Not Bastet. I mean, yeah, Bastet does get in and out of the cage without too many problems. But it's such an odd choice so early on in the draft. That screams to me that's just a comfort thing. Does leave the Hachiman available for the Kappa Corp as well. I'm back to the Sobek. I like this a little bit more.
Yeah.
It's a little bit... It almost feels bad to pick Hachi and Sobek into an Odin, just because neither of them get through the cage. But you can just pick up the... oh, wait. Sobek does go under the Odin cage. Hachi will be relying on the shell to get himself out of danger, but that's not the worst thing in the world. You can make that trade, right? You're picking the best hunter in the game, maybe one of the best gods in the game, and just saying, okay, my trade-off is I have to pick up a shell, which my team was going to do either way. You're totally fine with that. X-Ball is the answer. I love that. So Castronaut looked fantastic on it. Why is this Neath being hovered? You were hovering Serket. Why is it a Neath now?
I mean, Neath, honestly, has been really rising up the ranks with the focus lately on these ability-based hunters. Instead, it will be an Ares pickup, and Ares and Odin in the same team is not something you see quite often, but it really does limit the options for specifically the Sobek, actually. You know, you would expect... I'm not falling for that hover, by the way, Raptor. You can just change that right now. But it does limit the options for this Sobek in that, you know, you kind of now are forced into picking probably the shell and the beads, right? Like now the relics have been decided for this Sobek. I'm not falling for that hover either. I'm just gonna let this one go for a moment, Spooky. But I think the Ares and Odin does sound like the King's Court again want to be looking at more of this team fight based composition.
I mean, that seems to be their identity, and if it found them some success in game one, there's no reason not to repeat that attempt and just go back to it in game number two. I love the combination of Ares, Odin, and X-Ball. This is a fantastic top three that you can be looking at here. And sure, Hachiman does have the ability to just kind of hop on a horse, get out of the Ares ult. But the cripple that comes out from the chains, it means he's not going to be able to dash so effectively. It's going to limit what Sobek can do. And Raw is certainly a choice into this draft. Man, yeah, you can burn the ultimate to avoid the no escape, but Raw has no way of getting out of Odin Cage either. The low mobility option here is just very interesting, especially after we saw Telshore play Merlin in game number one. I would have expected him to go back to that, at least get out of the Odin Cage, and if not that, maybe something like a Baba Yaga who can hop into a house, get CC immunity and a shield to try to survive in that cage when it comes down, or even just hop out with the Cauldron. Going for this Raw here, I don't know. We're going to have to see a lot of setup in these next two. Sobek does set up for the Searing Pain somewhat. Oh, Naja would do it for sure. Oh, I love that.
Yeah, but Naja similarly will suffer when it comes to this Odin Cage. I'm actually wondering if we'll see the Ra, the Hachiman, and the Sobek all pick up a shell here. Because there's not actually a whole lot in the way of need for an Aegis right now. So I could see that being a choice. But instead, the Bellona has been locked in for Kappa Corporation. And we actually haven't seen too much Bellona lately, despite starting the season and starting the year as like one of those top gods in the entire game. Has really fallen away, but now does find themselves on this map and will have a pretty good time, honestly, into this Odin, Ares, and X-Ball. But Daji, actually, one of those gods you might look to choose into this Bellona. And when there's a Daji and an Ares on the same team, I am always just very frightened for the opposing team.
Yeah, your beads are now forfeit, and with a Morrigan on top, yeah, good luck avoiding all the ultimates that are coming out from the King's Court. This is a fantastic draft coming out from TKC here. I love what I'm looking at. And if you have beads that are already down, you don't even have to go for one of the beads burning ults. You don't have to go for Powwow or No Escape with this Morgan. You can keep the lights off for just a stupid amount of time if you combine X-Ball and Morgan together. Kappa Corporation, once again, it doesn't feel like they have a super strong answer to it just yet, but we still have to see what I'm hoping is going to be their jungler, and it's not going to be a Bellona jungle. That would be silly. Right, Judas? It's going to be Bellona solo. Right, Judas?
I've seen some rumblings of...
Stop it, Raptor.
I'm not falling for it, Raptor. Get it out of here. Give us some real picks, man. But yeah, I've seen some Bellona jungle, even so this season. It was about as effective as it sounds. And
More or less than Achilles?
It was actually less than the Achilles. I'm not kidding. So yes, I would like to see this Bellona from that solo lane. Nemesis would be a decent choice if you are looking to take down this front line, and honestly that might be the option for Kappa Corporation. But similarly to their game number one, what I'm seeing here is just not a whole lot of damage in the team. I'm not sure if that's just me, but a Naja does make things a little bit simpler, right? If you don't have a ton of damage, at least have a confirmed spot where you're all going to be focusing the damage.
So bear with me here, right? This is just my off the walls silly draft idea where we have the Sobek go solo, a Naja support, and the Bellona goes jungle. Anything could happen here.
Why do you say these things? Why don't
Wouldn't it be funny if I was right though?
Do you know I played Ra jungle once, so I went 11-1. It was one of the best games I've ever had in my life. Anyway, let's see if that actually comes up ahead as we head on into game number 2 and see if this Ra jungle will be played to perfection. It will not be a Ra jungle. It will be everyone in their regularly scheduled spots. So now, with the confident Spooky that the compositions are what we expect them to be, which side are you leaning toward?
I think it's just hard not to favor the King's Court from a draft standpoint. Now, we have only seen one game of the set so far, And the Kappa Corp, I don't know, they didn't look super clean around everything. There were some good fights that we did see, but ultimately, there was a lot of skirmishing, a lot of chaotic gameplay, and a lot of disjointedness between all the teams. So I'm looking at the King's Court here. They've got a great team composition. They've got a team fight draft, and they are burning through Super Spider Pig right now.
Oh no, the shell is being
No way.
used, and they get separated to the Kappa Corp dual lane. And now,
Shane
is going to be in big danger. Has to try to retreat. Oh, dashes that way. All right, they dashed that way, but Lion Unicorn on the way eventually. Salty Dingus in some danger, but Sarcastron, does manage to avoid the sash from Lion Unicorn. Speedy is in. What minute is this? How far into the game are we? Anyway, some brawling going on, and Speedy very low. The branching boas almost left. Super Spider Pig has not missed any of the action, despite going all the way back to the base. And I mean, that is one hell of a wave one.
Yeah, you asked what minute it was? It wasn't. 59 seconds into the game when you asked that one, by the way. What a start from both teams here. King's Court do get off to a slight lead as a result of picking up that first blood, but they didn't really capitalize on it, right? They stood around, they kept trying to hit Salty Dingus and trying to put him in the dirt. Didn't really work out. By the way, Minicups is not in this one anymore. This is a support switch up.
Yep.
So maybe, I'm not sure if Minicups was the starter or the sub, but either way, slight change here. Speedy Bees go down.
Bees go down, but the life goes up as they do manage to walk away. But Telshaw with a long shot over the wall and does not get connected with. But again, signs of just more fighting from Kappa Corp. They are down in this set, but certainly not letting that knock their confidence. I'm not sure it was the most advised fight. Ooh, as that pluck is not so advised either, but Salty Dingus is a Sobek, and Sobek tends to survive situations like that. But is this what you recommend the Kappa Corp do? As Lion Unicorn falls down to Wrecking Logic. I know that that's not what you'd recommend, Spooky. But would you recommend they do try to get active early?
Yes and no. I think their biggest point they want to start getting active is level 5, when they have Telshore and Lion Unicorns who can just combine their ultimates and pretty much delete a target. The problem is waiting till level 5 also means waiting for all of the King's Court ultimates to come up, and that's a lot of that. Wow. Over the wall, Telshore, Searing Pain connects, and Speedy goes down.
And you can't take red buffs from mid laners, man. They take that personally. They're not having it. And Super Spider Pig is not having any life to work with. Sarcastronaut steps all the way up and gets another kill on the board for their team. This is all over a purple buff. Salty Dingus might find themselves in even more trouble. The Orchid, do they have the Searing Flesh? They do this. The Shell, though. They keep them alive, and whoa, pluck into the tower. Gets them into range, but Sarcastronaut there to clean up another kill. The King's Court are having a great time, but the Kappa Corp are giving them all of these opportunities.
Lion Unicorn on rotation, though, looking for Leo Orchid. Not going to find him, but wait, you're not going to look at the X-Ball?
Oh, wants the sash, wants this Ares, wants to punish this choice, but doesn't get the last shot, and no! Has to retreat. Sarcastronaut wants this fight for some reason, and that reason is that Wrecking Logic is nearby. Transforms into the Daji, goes in with the Trickster Spirit. Lion Unicorn, not level 5, cannot get out alive. Sarcastronaut on a killing spree and having a great time in life.
I tell you what, if he had just gone on Sarcastronaut, probably doesn't kill him, but he at least probably gets beads out from this X-Ball just on account of the stun.
Yep.
And he probably doesn't die to Speedy because he can just disengage so much easier from being above the purple buff than inside it. A solo invade there was so risky, and it really feels like the Kappa Corp are kind of clawing at anything they can try to find rather than having a cohesive game plan in mind for what they want to do. If they want to look for these invades, they've got to do it with multiple people. You cannot just be solo invading when you've seen both members of the dual lane pulling back to that side, and you don't know where Speedy is. He just died on your red buff. He's gonna be coming back up. It just needs a little bit more discipline. That might just do it. Oh, the beats are good.
Very, Very low health there from Telsho. We are talking double digits. There's a sash now from Lion Unicorn. Gets the beats from Speedy, but did expend the ult. Oh, fires the Shearing Pain. Doesn't connect, but Brown Brazilian on an early rotation from this Bologna does manage to get the kill. So Kappa Corp again find a pick onto Speedy on the dart G. This is a very chaotic matchup so far, but it is in favor of the King's Court.
Yeah, they're singing the tune of about 2,000 gold in their favor right now. Lion Unicorn, trying to find some value here. I do like this switch up from Brown Brazilian, though. Going to this Bologna and actually finding some pressure and allowing yourself to rotate out of the lane, that is already a massive boon and a stark improvement over the Game 1 play that we saw. Hopefully, we'll continue to trend that way. Speedy right now has been struggling a little bit, I'd say, to find the value on this Daji. And it could just be that, no one's been really in position to follow up on things. We've seen a couple of aggressive plays that haven't really quite panned out, with Telshore now having no beats for the next 100 or so seconds. And Ultimate still down for a little bit. There is some play for the King's Court around that mid lane if they choose to make them. But keep your eyes peeled. This rotation could be massive.
Oh, huge rotation from Kappa Corp. Sent 2 members over here, but Super Spider Pig has already fallen. Now Sarcastronaut does get away with a small amount of health. Lion Unicorn goes for the kill, doesn't get it, gets yanked away by the Orchid, and that is that. The Kappa Corp have nothing left to chase with. Off the mark, the snipe was Telshaw, and can't even rotate back to lane because of the presence of Wrecking Logic. Nothing gained there for the Kappa Corp.
Man, nothing gained, but quite a lot lost. That's a morale damager if I've ever seen one. You are one basic away from getting that beautiful, sweet shutdown on this X-Ball, and you just get yeeted back in a split second, and there's nothing. The fact that Sarcastronaut walks out of that, not just alive, but with a kill on top, is absolutely criminal. Capricorn have to find some kind of answer to the King's Court, and they're trying to. They're making some aggressive plays. That was a 4-man rotation that should have resulted in a kill. If Telshore had been on the mark of Searing Pain, it's a kill. If No Escape goes out 0.2 seconds later, that's a kill. But it's just not working out for them right now. And it's time to maybe switch things up. Look somewhere else. The Sarcastronaut just about solo Super Spider Pig out under his own tower.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what the Hachiman's doing there, trying to take a fight. That's X-Ball, one of these gods that really loves to box early, even if they're not going to be getting these kills. Of course, that does stack that X-Ball passive. So, it's always going to be in favor of the god that is in the lead as well. Now, the Orchid going for a bit of harassment and invasion, as an Ares is, culpable to do, and Tish just takes no damage. There is nothing that Kappa Corp could do to stop that. Sarcastro looking for an early tier 1 tower and shall get it yet again. Spooky Shades of Game 1. Everything in favor of the King's Court.
Yeah, about a level and a half up now is Sarcastronaut over Super Spider Pig. Super Spider Pig on this Hachi doesn't need to fight. He can just stand back a little bit and scale up. He's a very safe god. If he doesn't want to die, if he doesn't give King's Court opportunities to kill him, then he simply will not die. He's stepping forward, he's taking these fights, taking these trades he really doesn't have to, and it's resulting in this deficit where he can't quite keep up with the damage of that dash. Is a little too early. Super Spider Pig gonna cost him his ultimate there. One more safety tool down, still has the beads available. And that's just kind of the story right now. Wrecking Logic. Here's another Daji.
There's another Daji to provide some damage onto Salty Dingus, who is alive for a moment. Oh, dashes forward again, and Wrecking Logic goes down to the flashbang from Telshaw there. Now Speedy. Oh, here's another Paolo. Salty Dingus going to be very salty seeing this secondary Paolo. But again, Telshaw going in for the flashbang. There is the Lion Unicorn coming in and picking up another kill. So finally, a fight going the way of Kappa Corp, but they might not be done just yet. Lion Unicorn giving chase to the Orchid. Does get the sash to the flashbang coming back in. Oh, a little bit early up to the sky goes this Ares and will certainly fall. Telshaw now on a killing spree. Finally, this Ra has their moment.
That is massive for Telshaw on this Ra. It's massive for Kappa Corp as a whole. I would be very salty if I was Salty Dingus. Seeing a Powwow come out, survive it, just for a second Powwow to come through on me again. All 3 pulls. It's just ridiculous, man. But at the end of it, it works out because the Kappa Corps are the ones walking away with those kills. They're the ones picking up the bounties. Being able to kill Wrecking Logic there is absolutely massive. And finding Leorchid afterwards is just gravy on top at that point. And keep your eyes on that map. Kappa Corp being proactive, looking over towards this Gold Fury. They do have the secure from Searing Pain. I don't think the King's Court can stop this one.
We just need to put damage onto Salty Dingus. It's already low. There was the Gold Fury, and the King's Court steal it and snatch away Salty Dingus' life as well. But who else can they follow? There's a bird bomb onto 2. Destruction from the King's Court. Now look to take down Brown Brazilian as well, who has no eyes in sight, only finds another enemy, but leaps over the wall and is alive with 30 HP at least. So something gets out of the danger there. Now Lion Unicorn goes in, gets the beads from Speedy. Oh, dashes in past Speedy, and now also will get alive, but only for a moment, as Wrecking Logic takes them down. It's a Gold Fury and 4 kills for the King's Court.
Cataclysmic for Kappa Corp. There's no reason they should lose that Gold Fury there. Searing Pain, slightly off the mark, was used, but did not secure the Fury, which allowed Sarcastronaut to swap on in, throw a couple basics at it, steal that one away. Fight afterwards, King's Court, that's what they've drafted for. These are the fights they want to be taking. No surprise to see them with the advantage there. Super Spider Pig is taken down as well. It's becoming a avalanche, the King's Court. Out, what, 6,000 gold in the lead, 7 kills up. Things are starting to get a little bit rough for Kappa Corp. It's shades of game number 1, and with the Stygian Beacon now online as well, expect those towers to be taking a little bit of damage.
There is a 4-level deficit right now for Super Spider Pig into Sarcastronaut.
Oh, Jesus.
Combine that with a Daji on the other side, and combine that with the fact that Super Spider Pig has actually gone for the Mannequin Scepter on this Hachiman. Now, Mannequin Scepter is a very good item right now, especially for ADCs, but not Hachiman really, especially not in this sort of situation. Like, you know, a Gilded Arrow would maybe be one of the other options, which at least would provide you a little bit of extra gold, if even not that much, but just something to get another item on the board. But hold on, another kill on the board potentially. Lion Unicorn takes Speedy up, but there's the Orchid to provide a little bit of peel in the form of damage. But now the Powwow is over. Oh, his Eagle's really off the mark, but does manage to pick up the kill anyway. So Kappa Corp in the ascendancy for this fight. Can they find anything else? Oh, good stun there coming out from Tempo there. And now Brown Brazilian finds himself taking some damage on the retreat. Wrecking Logic trying to find the stun, but can't close the distance. Now there's no escape, and there will be no escape for Brown Brazilian, because there is a Naja on the enemy team now from Wrecking Logic, and the Orchid will take them down. But Wrecking Logic now plucked under tower, does de-transform. It's 1-for-1 jungler for solo laner, and unfortunately Telshaw not able to get involved, and it's a rampage for Sarcastronaut on this left-hand side. Oh, Lion Unicorn gets caught trying to just clear one of their buffs, and caught in the cage. No way out of the cage, and that will be another kill, and a killing spree this time for Templar Tyrant.
And it starts off nice with Brown Brazilian using the Eagles Rally to immune the Powwow that had connected on him. Picks up the kill onto Speedy. But then it just goes on too long. He gets pulled back in, chained down by Leorchid. And it's just this domino effect. Telshore is able to put out some good damage. He's staying safe and at good range. But unfortunately, and this is something you touched on in the draft, they don't seem to have the damage to win these fights. Telshore is landing some good Celestial Beams, but it's not enough. They don't have Super Spider Pig there to also be adding that second source of DPS. And sure, King's Court don't have that either. Sarcastronaut is staying on the left side, but the XP advantage, the gold advantage that King's Court have over Kappa Corp allows them to leverage that a little bit more effectively. Additionally, Speedy on this Daji is able to kind of put some damage out around the fight a little bit more effectively than Lion Unicorn on the Naja, who's very single target focused. And while you can say the same for a Daji, he's able to switch targets a lot more quickly and a lot more effectively than this Naja can, which allows them to facilitate the team's damage so much easier, and it's just leading to these objectives and this play across the map the Kappa Corp is significantly struggling to deal with.
Now, Sarcastro, might find themselves in some danger. This is the Naja damage, but it's not quite enough damage, so they have the final shot. Fantastic Aegis, and that will be enough to keep the Xbalanque alive. That would have been a huge kill for Kappa Corp to pick up, but as it stands, King's Court still find themselves in the ascendancy. I thought they might be looking at this Oni Fury, but Salty Dingus thought so too, has dashed in and now has to try to lurk away, but shall not lurk away. Another 2 kills for the King's Court, and now they will surely turn their attention to another one of these objectives.
They're gonna turn their attention over to Telshore and push him. Oh man, what do you even do? What do you do?
That is terrific. Oh no! Oh no!
That's so tragic. That's so tragic for Telshore. Let's just rewind this a bit. Let's just back up here. All right, a lot has happened. We've seen double with 2 dodgies running at Raw. But what started this all, right? It's Lion Unicorn, right? He goes in, tries to find Sarcastronaut, does a great amount of damage, but there's been a trend here, Judas, where Lion Unicorn will find a target, he'll get him, he'll take him up into the sky, and they'll land with like the barest sliver of health, and then they'll have Aegis or Powwow, and he won't get that last bit of damage off. And then the rest of the King's Court comes in. They CC him down, they burst him down. And it's always the King's Court hitting Lion Unicorn, and never Kappa Corp coming in and finishing up the target that Lion Unicorn has selected. Whether that's because Lion Unicorn isn't calling these out in advance and not waiting for his team, or because the team isn't following up on it, it doesn't matter. The end result is the same, and the way we're getting there has to change if Kappa Corp want to find any success here. And after that, right, Salty Dingus tries to get a cheeky pluck on Leo Orchid. What was it going to do for it? Nothing. It was going to stop back. He ends up throwing his life away as a result of that because he goes way too deep. And Leo Orchid, on this Ares, has been an absolute menace to everyone on Kappa Corp. The cripples coming out from these chains have been stopping so much play on field, and it's just led to this cascading effect where the King's Court are 9,000 gold ahead and can take one look at Telshore and say, hey, buddy, did you want to exist on this map? That's too bad.
And that's the life of a Ra in this situation, right? You are so reliant on the rest of your team to be able to provide ample space for you and set up to allow you to combine with them, but Salty Dingus now just being melted. Is this Sobek yet again? Gate of game number 1. They target one of these frontliners, burn them down before anyone can come to help, and that is that. You know, it's really been a tough game for the Kappa Corp here. But like you said, it's kind of off their own making. Got a bit too aggressive and dual lane in the first minute of the game, and it just sort of cascaded from there. But this Fire Giant, if Kappa Corp were able to steal it, would do wonders for them. But Brown Brazilian will have to give the objective up. We're 18 minutes in. King's Court have a huge lead, and now they've just added a Fire Giant buff to it.
It's just tough. Good news. One Pala ult was used. Bad news. There's just another one waiting for the Kappa Corp to step forward. Now with the Fire Giant around the waist of the King's Court, they're not even waiting for the minions. It's gonna be a little bit aggressive, but with the lead they have, Kappa Corp isn't willing to step forward. Appreciating that, giving them some space.
Oh no.
Oh, yeah,
That was a Dingus move.
You can't be looking for
the only
those.
way I'm going to say that. That was certainly a Dingus move. And now, actually, this might be the encouragement that the King's Court needed to step into this Phoenix. But no, it's still too risky. That is certainly what an overstep would be. And it's just all in the King's Court's court, if you will. If all they have to do is play this one relatively simply, and this game's theirs to have.
Yeah, these have so much of an advantage. This game is a little too early for them to be pressuring Phoenixes down, but they can just clean up all of these tier 2s and open the map up nice and wide for themselves. All they have to do is make sure that Kappa Corp can't get anything, and no escape. I changed the tide here.
Oh! That was a good combination
Wow.
there, though. The Eagles rally into that searing pain, and their Super Spider Pig with the mounted archery as well. Salty Dink is going to go for a pluck again, it looks like, lining up a
Please
target.
don't.
But please don't. It's not going to pay off. Still wants it. Is just marching ahead. But no, that is what the Kappa Corp support will choose to do, and it does frighten away the rest of the King's Court, who now turn their eyes at this Pyromancer. But like you said, Spooky, the King's Court aren't expecting to get a Phoenix there, but they are constantly checking, just testing the Kappa Corp's defenses. And while they stood strong enough to prevent a Phoenix going down, King's Court still lose nothing for it.
Just a quick little thing. Can we check Golden Hand real fast? I just want to see something.
Oh my goodness.
Okay, yeah. So Wrecking Logic just hasn't gone back to base for like 6 levels.
And playing
4,000 Golden Hand. Horn Shard still in the inventory there. I mean, that's just how far ahead they are. They're not even fully utilizing the advantage because he's just turned into other people and using their items instead, I guess. It would be far more effective if, you went ahead and went back to base, finished that spear off, and got a few more items in hand, but so far they haven't actually needed it. Oh my god, what's happening?
The Wrecking Logic returns to the base, finishes their Divine Ruin, and probably can afford another item, and yep, there's an Obsidian Shard to combine with that. So the Morrigan now actually able to be their own character, not just having to, focus on someone else, but it just shows how far ahead the King's Court have been, right? That was 4,000 of this 14,000 gold lead was just missing. So it was only a 10,000 gold lead, and still the King's Court have been dominated.
It's 13,000 without those items.
Wow.
I'm very interested to see where the damage goes now that he's completed 2 additional items.
And an extra.
I don't know. This is so rough for the Kappa Corp. I mean, how do you take a fight with someone who has 4,000 gold in hand, 4,000 of the enemy team's lead, lose it, and then still feel confident coming to the next fight?
Well, confident enough to step up are the Kappa Corp, but ill-advised confidence, I would say. And for some reason, that's helpful. That goes into a bad angle. Oh, God, there's the bridging force just tearing through the enemy team. Already 2 members down of the Kappa Corp. Make that a 3rd and a 4th soon to follow. Brown Brazilian just trying to buy some time for their team, but it will not be enough time. That's a triple kill for Sarcastronaut there. Now looking to end this game.
That is ridiculous. Wrecking Logic's only done 1,000 more damage. This game is only 23 minutes in, and they're looking to close this one up here. Kappa Corp only has Lion Unicorn to defend. I don't know if he can do it.
The single target assassin has 5 targets in front of them, stunned out by Templar Tyrant, tries to march forward. Salty Dingus is here to provide a little bit of disruption. The cage has been set between Templar Tyrant and the Titan themselves. Now, getting away is the Naja, but the Titan will not be able to get away. There is too much damage, and the King's Court, for the first time this season, take a victory, and then it'll be a 2-0 victory over the Kappa Corp.
I mean, not just a victory, but a very convincing and dominant performance. Like, it was, I won't say it was clean, Judas. That's not the word I will go for. But it did look a lot better than an 0-4 team, right?
Yeah.
Whatever's been going wrong with the seasons, it feels like they've taken some steps to at least look at those problems and address them and try to correct them. And if this is the performance they're going to have, I would say that that's a very good path to be on right now. They are looking very strong in this game. It's still not like one of the top teams, but you got to start somewhere. And Kappa Corp, for their part, had some good plays in there, but it felt like they didn't recognize when they were behind and when their opportunities to play aggressively had really gone away. I mean, Salty Dingus is level 14, 3 levels down on Leorchid, 1-7, and still stepping forward, trying to aggressively play for those plucks, and they just were not working out.
No, not at all. And like I can understand the point of view, right? You're playing Sobek. That's kind of Sobek's job, right? You want to pluck someone and just try to make something happen for your team because it's not happening, but it has to be measured. And unfortunately, it just wasn't at that moment. It was very tough there for Salty Dingus to do much of anything. And it kind of bled from that. You know, we had that great moment from Telshaw where they actually picked up a triple kill. That was their only kills of the game, was in that one moment, you know, and it's just the way that the game went. The Kings Court, like I said, it wasn't exactly clean in that it was a little bit messy here and there, but they did a very good job of it at least being measured.
I think the biggest problem is that they didn't really play their draft, right? Now,
No,
granted,
you're right.
your dual lane got behind pretty early on. It was rough over there. But you picked this Naja and this Raw together so you could look for some setup into a Searing Pain. And I think we saw that 0 times. I don't think we saw that actually be executed at any point in the game. Now, granted, part of the problem is you're being run at by 2 Dodgies or 2 Aries. You've got all these ultimates coming out, pulling you out of position. And it's very hard to set up for. And when your team's so far behind, you can't make the space. That becomes a very difficult ask to pull that off. But rather than looking for, just one-off picks, trying to find someone that's not with the rest of the team, they step forward consistently to 5-on-5s or 4-on-4s, and those numbers just do not favor you at that deficit.
Well, the Kings Court have ended the win streak of the Kappa Corporation and now begin the win streak of their own at this later stage of the season. But that is it for today for your games. I've been Judas Priestley, joined by Spooky Mars and, of course, Raptor on the backside, providing all of the visuals. This has been the Shallows Division. Make sure you tune in tomorrow for a little bit more Quack and Smite League action. But that is it from us today. We're signing off.